guys, this is Reis and welcome to another video. This past weekend was the Toronto Regional Championships and there were some epic battles throughout the tournament, and we're going to cover the winners finals and the grand finals. There was so many epic matches to choose from and epic players, people that had phenomenal runs. For example, Dr. Roast Beef, who made a spicy team with Bibero, got all the way to the top 3, so he had an epic run. I encourage you to check out. We could even cover that in a separate video, but we're going to cover the winners finals between Sceptile Ice and Ilam, and then the grand finals between Sceptile Ice and Ilam in a rematch, and then get into kind of the details, the storylines behind everything, and what was a pretty epic battle between two amazing trainers. So there's going to be a little bit of everything. There's going to be epic plays, some dominant wins, some close wins, a little bit of lag, unfortunately, that impacted a few games. So that's going to be frustrating to see, I know. But we're going to get into it and break things down. Not going to do a face cam. Just going to do, you won't see my face. You'll see these two studs on the screen. And we'll go over to it right here. So this is going to play in 1.5 times speed. And I'll just pause it momentarily to show you their teams of 6 on the screen. And if we do like a little mini breakdown, I think the things that stood out to me in this matchup were the Feraligatr looking awfully good for Sceptile Ice, probably his best Pokemon in this matchup, doing well against the Corsola, solid against the Annihilate, very good against the Sandslash, decent against the Drapion. I consider Feraligatr to have a good matchup against Azumarill. Azumarill can definitely hold its own, though, in certain scenarios. And then Serperior is really the only thing that Feraligatr has to be weary of. The Jump Bluff, kind of hit or miss. The Corsola looks awfully good if it can avoid the Drapion and the Diggersby. However, the Diggersby is really tough to bring, in my opinion, against Elam's team because the Annihilate looks quite good, right? So what's the Diggersby really trying to find? I guess the Diggersby is trying to find the Corsola, maybe the Drapion, but like Drapion's not even that good, so Diggersby kind of tough to bring. And yeah, so you're expecting to see a lot of Feraligatr, probably a lot of Drapion from Sceptile. And for Ilam, the Annihilate looks pretty good. The Corsola looks decent. The Azumarill looks decent as well. Azumarill honestly looks very safe against Sceptile Ice's team. Not really hard checked by anything, only soft checks across the board. So kind of a soft match analysis here. Sceptile Ice, you see the accomplishments. 2025 regional, Baltimore top 8, Charlotte top 16. Ilam is one of the most consistent trainers probably in history, has top cut just about as much as anyone, but has yet to claim a regional title. So he's still searching for that regional. This is the winners finals. This is to get to the grand finals. The loser will have to fight it out in the losers finals to try and get their spot back into the grand finals. This is a best of 5 series. Trainers wishing each other luck. And here we go. Sceptile Ice on the left, Ilam on the right. And we get Shadow Drapion into Annihilate, starting things out. Now, this is a matchup foreshadowing we're going to see quite a few times throughout this series. The Drapion is going to eat a lot of counter damage, of course, but I actually prefer to be the Annihilate. Ilam, you see him like perplexed. He's surprised Sceptile Ice doesn't swap out. I think he was predicting Sceptile Ice would didn't want to like give Ilam the opportunity to throw the move there, so he was surprised that he stayed in that long. And Sceptile Ice actually takes the first Rage Fist from Ilam. Going to shield up the second. Ilam's now going to go into Azumarill and then catches the Rage Fist on his Azumarill. So it's a nice play by Ilam. And then check out this play from Sceptile Ice. He's going to be patient here. Not going to immediately go for the Rage Fist. Going to see if he can reach the close combat, and he does. And this is really nice for Sceptile Ice. That rhymes. He's going to get off this boosted close combat, do some really solid chip damage to Azumarill. And Ilam, remember, has no Protect Shields, and we see a little peekaboo play from Sceptile Ice. I like this play a lot. Ilam does undercharge, but this undercharge might actually be a mistake because it allows this Drapion to reach a crunch. And I mean, this Annihilate was still pretty useful, so I actually don't really like that catch, if I'm being honest, from Ilam, or that undercharge rather. I feel like the Annihilate was still useful, and now this Feraligatr is just super unthreatened. Ilam actually baits as well. Don't really know if there was much reason for bait. So I think Ilam just not his best game here to start things off. Hydro Cannon nearly knocks out. This is a really nice recognition by Sceptile Ice. Just throwing this Hydro Cannon. No reason not to throw this Hydro Cannon. So this way you can just save your Protect Shield for the Azu. If he had not thrown that and the Azu gets off a move, he could have potentially opened up a lose condition there. So really clean there from Sceptile Ice. I'm sure Ilam feels like if he could have that game back, he could have played it a lot differently. But a nice game one there for Sceptile Ice. These trainers going to think things over for game number 2. We'll do a little fast forward here. Looks like they're getting locked in. When they assume the position, the stance, right? The lean forward. You know, things are ready. Drapion mirror match. So, of course, whoever wins CMP is probably going to have an advantage in this matchup. But there's definitely some mind games, right? Do you catch the second Aqua Tail? Do you stay in? Do you overfarm expecting the catch, right? This could really go a lot of different ways. It's not the most comfortable matchup in the world. Sceptile Ice just throws immediately. Ilam puts up the Protect Shield. And now we're going to see an overfarm. Ilam going up to 2 Aqua Tails. This will knock out Sceptile Ice's Drapion after all the Poison Sting damage. He doesn't have a really easy way of knocking out this Drapion, so he's actually going to come in Jump Bluff, absorb a Crunch, and then we'll have to fire off an Aerial Ace to knock it out. Does 1 extra Fairy Wind. Elam could have potentially thrown an Aqua Tail for Chip, but then you run the risk of giving Sceptile Ice more farm, so it doesn't do that. Comes in Corsola, and this Corsola is going to get some nice farm here. Now, one thing Sceptile Ice could have considered in this game would have been like the immediate pivot into Feraligatr, but instead he stays in for a while, gives Corsola a lot of farm. Could that farm be a concern? We'll see. Nightshade knocks out the Jump Bluff. In comes Gator. Corsola is going to get off a Nightshade here, which will draw the first Protect Shield from Sceptile Ice. And now we are going to see the swap into Azumarill. And that Astonish damage, is that enough to help Azumarill secure this 1 shield matchup? Because now you might put it into Play Rough range. However, you got a big head start of energy if you're Sceptile Ice with this Feraligatr. So I do not know how this is going to play out. We are going to see the Hydro Cannon queued up here. Already at double Hydro Cannon. Feraligatr is just so nasty with how fast it paces hit these Hydro Cannons. And it looks like it's going to get to 2 before Azumarill is going to reach the next Play Rough here. So Elam understands he has to let this go. And there are no shields remaining on the side of Sceptile Ice. So he is actually going to put this all on the Corsola, and now he's 1 Astonish away, gets to the Nightshade. This is going to knock out. And someone actually mentioned in the comments, I didn't realize this, but someone mentioned in the Twitch chat if Sceptile Ice had potentially overfarmed 1 more Shadow Claw, maybe that would have actually made a difference here. If he had done 5 here, it's suboptimal timing, but he could have actually put himself in a position where he does 4 and then 1 and throw, I think. So I don't know. But that's so tough in the moment, right? Like, you're focusing on throwing on optimal timing. Also, I don't know if that gives like opportunity for catch as well for Elam. So I'm not sure exactly. Also, yeah, that probably gives an opportunity for a catch, to be honest. So I think Twitch chat is trolling. Oh, my bad. Got a little bit overzealous there. Here we go. Tied up 1-1. Game number 3. Drapion into Azumarill. One of the most common matchups you're going to see in the championship series. And this, depending on who you ask, like, this can be favorable for either Pokemon. I mean, Azumarill can get the shield advantage, and this is actually a critical play to start things off for Sceptile. And this is an uncharacteristic mistake for Elam. Just such a clean player. You don't often see him make a mistake like that. But a nice call from Sceptile Ice. Also, like, not guaranteed that you go for the Play Rough, right, against Drapion, but maybe saw that Elam typically liked to go for Play Rough in that matchup in his earlier matches. So calls that he goes for the Play Rough and catches it on Claude, and that's just a lot of wasted energy. And I mean, doesn't have a hard punish, right, for the Clodsire. There's no Sand Slash. So Corsola is going to be more of a soft check here. And Clodsire gets it really low. So Corsola is actually going to undercharge here. Still going to knock out anyway. Comes in. Doesn't want to give the free farm on Gator. So comes in Annihilate. Elam, I think, understanding he's in a bad situation here. Shaking his head. Hydro Cannon. Grabs the Protect Shield. Going to go for this Rage Fist as soon as possible. Wants to ramp up that attack. Rage Fist. Draws the Protect Shield from Feraligatr. And now Feraligatr going to put up another Hydro Cannon. This is going to put up a Protect Shield from Annihilate. And now Drapion going to fire off the Aqua Tail here. This is going to knock out the Annihilate. Sceptile Ice in a really good position with this Drapion. The Corsola is really low. Just fires off the Crunch here. Not going to be quite enough to knock out, but Azumarill, there's no way it's going to reach 2 charge attacks here. It's just getting to the first charge attack, and it's not going to be able to survive the Poison Sting damage. Sceptile Ice knows he's got this Game 3 locked up, and he's just going to fire off a Crunch here. Aqua Tail definitely would have been enough, so I'm not sure why he fired off the Crunch personally, but maybe just forgot how low the Corsola was. Just wanted to play it safe. Can't blame him. And it's definitely a lot easier when you're the one like watching. You can see the health, right? It'd been a while since he saw the Corsola, so maybe he probably knew it was low, just probably forgot that it was so low that like an Aqua Tail was enough, just playing it safe. And we'll skip this ahead just a little bit. Sceptile Ice 2-1 in this best of 5. 1 game away from taking the series and moving on to the grand finals. Let's see if he can do it here. Trainer's getting ready. Getting locked in. Here we go. Drapion into Annihilate. This was like the most comfortable lead for both Trainer. When they had their backs against the wall, this was the Pokemon they would go to in the lead. Elam's going to shield up the Crunch here, and we see the debuff from the Crunch here. Goes for the Rage Fist. Sceptile Ice going to no-shield, going to call the Rage Fist, and then gets off a Parting Crunch before going down. So 2 shield advantage is pretty devastating, right? In the lead. 2 shield advantage plus, like, you don't have that much energy. Look at these Shadow Claws now. So devastating. And it's not like Elam has a hard check for the Gator in general. Never mind in the back. He doesn't even have the Superior. Even if he did have the Superior, he wouldn't have any shields to back it up. So he's forced to come in with Corsola. And 2 Hydro Cannons plus the Shadow Claw damage is pretty much going to be enough to knock out Corsola. So we actually see 2 Shadow Claws going for that 1 extra Shadow Claw worth of damage before the second Astonish registers. Very nice. Gets off a Hydro Cannon here against the Sand Slash as well. And at this point, I think pretty much anything on his team could probably close out the Sand Slash, even the Jump Bluff maybe. But the Fire Punch here will definitely be enough. Double super effective in a very convincing and commanding set there. 3-1 for Sceptile Ice is going to send him to the grand finals. Easily the farthest he's ever been in a regional. Shout out to Sceptile Ice. There's Jim, Wholesome, and Soph commentating. So after this, we would see Elam take on Dr. Roast Beef in the losers finals. And as you see, he would go on to a very convincing 3-0 sweep victory. So remember, Elam had been undefeated up until that matchup against Sceptile Ice. He locks back in, goes 3-0, quick sweep against Dr. Roast Beef, who, by the way, shout out to Dr. Roast Beef. Shout out to these 2 gentlemen as well, looking very, very fly, very handsome. And Dr. Roast Beef took out the likes of Dunebug, Inadequance, among others. Just an absolutely insane run from him. These 2 young gentlemen did an interview with Inadequance and shared their thoughts going into the grand finals. And we are going to skip ahead to these grand finals. So keep in mind, Elam gets back here, and he is on the loser side of the bracket. So what this means is Elam has to beat Sceptile Ice in a best of 5 to what they call reset the bracket. So Sceptile Ice, if he wins this first best of 5, since he hasn't lost in this tournament, he wins the Toronto Regional. Elam needs to win a best of 5 to reset the bracket. Then since they've both lost, it's it's winner take all. The next best of 5 would decide the winner. So that's what the situation is. And here we go, back in action. Ilam versus Sceptile Ice, fresh scoreboard 0-0. Let's see if they can change up the strategy. And also, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm friends with some of Ilam's teammates, and I got some intel that in the first series, Ilam may have not known that Sceptile Ice was running Stone Edge on his Clodsire at first, which may have played a role in some of his lines and stuff. So he may have thought it was running Sludge Bomb and not Stone Edge. So maybe, oh, that's the wrong thing. My bad. Here we go. And what do you know? Drapion into Annihilate. Get used to seeing it, folks. The most common matchup that we saw in this series, I think, in the lead. And it's kind of fun because it's a matchup that you don't really know how it's going to play out, as opposed to other matchups, right, that kind of play out the same sort of way. This time, Ilam going for the close combat, and it connects, debuffs himself, and you can't afford to give Gator a head start, right? So he just pivots Azumarill. Azumarill, like we talked about, quite safe against Sceptile Ice's team. So Ilam has that handy Azu safe swap, but it's not like Azu really loves this matchup. So I definitely would prefer to be the Feraligatr in this matchup personally, unless maybe you're in like the zero shield situation, then maybe you prefer to be the Azumarill. But even then, Gator can probably get to 3 Hydro Cannons, right, before double play rough if you're on even energy starting. So here we go. Well, I guess you just get to play rough Ice Beam, but that's the same energy anyway. Anyway, we see the pivot into Corsola. Both shields already taken off the Gator, but Gator's building up energy here. And now this is awkward because you're at the Nightshade. So it's like, what do? Do you sack Gator? No, you actually get off the Hydro. Ilam tried to wait. He tried to wait, but did the game not visually update, or did he just wait too long? I'm not sure. But either way, Sceptile Ice kind of in an impossible situation. The Nightshade just does too much where Annihilape's not going to get there. And he had the one thing in the back that just wasn't going to be able to hang on to the energy from the Corsola. So Ilam takes game 1 in fairly convincing fashion with a 3-ball flex, and gets the job done here. So a nice game 1 win. I will unfortunately foreshadow in this first series, there are going to be a couple games where lag impacts. That is probably one of the quickest lock-ins, by the way, in like history that I've ever seen in championship series history. Back when Wadaj and I played at NAIC, I remember we locked in pretty quickly in that series, but that was like nearly instant lock-in. Drapion mirror match here. And wait a sec. Ilam winning the charge attack priority, was it? Or did Sceptile not throw? Wait a sec. I could have sworn Sceptile won before. Did they have like the same attack Drapion? Did I not notice that before? That's kind of crazy. So Ilam actually snipes with the Superior here, which he brings. But this is almost doing Sceptile Ice a favor, in my opinion, because now he can safely align his Clodsire here and align his Feraligatr against Serp in the back. I guess Ilam was probably expecting Sceptile Ice to pivot as well, so he didn't want to give Sceptile Ice the head start with Gator. Or maybe he was, yeah, right, he was probably anticipating the Gator swap, so he wanted to align Superior with the Gator, but Sceptile Ice didn't do that. So a nice decision from Sceptile Ice. This still is far from over, however, because Superior is going to get off a parting charge attack, and this is going to do a little bit of Vine Whip damage as well. I don't think that Vine Whip damage is going to be too impactful. However, it still doesn't really put you into play rough range just yet. Feraligatr going to fire off the Hydro. Already at double Hydro. This thing is just ridiculous how fast it is. And going to fire off a play rough here. Azumarill. Going to draw that Protect Shield off of Feraligatr. And here we go. At 2 more Hydro Cannons. Feraligatr looking scary. Does 1 and throws. Ilam going to put up this final Protect Shield. Super low health on all his remaining Pokemon. Doesn't fall for the catch. And Ilam is going to fire off the play rough here and looks to take a 2-0 lead against Sceptile Ice. Very nicely done. Maybe knowing the Clodsire moveset is going to be helpful for him in this rematch. As Ilam takes the 2-0 lead. Very nice. Trainer's going to think things over a little bit here. Little instant replay. And here we go. Annihilate Mirror match. Whoever wins Charge Attack priority here, definitely going to have an advantage. And we see the Rage Fist coming through. Charge Attack priority won by Sceptile Ice. Notice Ilam actually shields the first. You may be wondering why. The first is going to do the least amount of damage. Well, if you take the first, you put yourself in danger of just getting countered down. So Sceptile Ice is going to be content just letting it go. He understands it might get caught, but this is going to allow him to take switch advantage. Now, Ilam lures out the Feraligatr with his Azumarill, which sets up his Sand Slash against the Drapion. So, like, on paper, it's a good strategy in terms of alignment. However, the Gator, I mean, after Azu took the chip damage, the Gator's just going to get so much energy here. Is he going to be able to handle the Gator? I don't know about that. So, Feraligatr going to farm up so much energy here. You can't really afford to shield Azu. That's already got 2 moves. So he's forced to let this go. You come back in with 8, but here is where the lag plays a pivotal role, right? As you see, Ilam had a Rage Fist banked. Annihilate, we don't know for sure who would win the Charge Attack priority, but typically Annihilate wins this Charge Attack priority. So Ilam would have potentially gotten the opportunity to throw this attack against the Feraligatr, which could be pivotal, right? If he gets this move off first, if Sceptile Ice takes the move, that could be really impactful. Or if Sceptile Ice grabs the final Protect Shield, or if Ilam grabs the final protection, that could also be really impactful. Then Ilam could probably let this go and might have a chance to close out the game with Sand Slash. So that's really impactful in my opinion. If Annihilate was to win that Charge Attack priority, I think that could be really game changing. If Ilam was to lose the Charge Attack priority, it probably wouldn't matter, but we don't know that for sure. So we see Sceptile Ice make the catch, and some people are arguing like, oh, he made the catch anyway, so it cancels out. Well, I don't think that's really logical personally, because the only reason he was even capable of making the catch was because of the lag in the first place. So that's really frustrating if you're in Elam's position. And check this out, like this actually ends up being super close. The Hydro Cannon isn't quite enough to knock out. And because the poison stings are double resisted, he gets to double drill run here in the end. And the drill run here is going to come through. It is super effective, but from a non-shadow, it's just going to be not quite enough. So Ilam would ask the judges to review this. And after a quick review among the players discussing, I think Ilam or the judges, I don't know exactly what happened in this discussion, but it seems like it was pretty quick. So it seemed like either it was ruled no rematch or Ilam just decided to drop it. I'm not exactly sure what happened. So personally, if this is my thought, and again, I'm no judge. I am just an observer. This is just my third party opinion. I think this is personally a rematch unless the players like discussed and they used a third party source to determine that Feraligatr would win Charge Attack priority anyway over Annihilate. That could be the only reason I would see for like potentially no rematch. But personally, like Annihilate getting that move off first on CMP to me is pretty game changing. So personally, I would think that should be a rematch for Ilam, but that's just my opinion on the matter. I'm not throwing any shade. I'm just expressing my personal opinion, and I don't know any other additional context. So anyway, I have a lot of respect for those two judges as well, and obviously for these two players. Where's my tab? There it is. So they would discuss this for just a little bit, and then it would kind of get dropped pretty quickly, and the game would go to Sceptile Ice. So it's 2-1. And then here we go. Drapion Mirror. Sceptile Ice needs to win to send this to a game 5. Elam trying to reset the bracket, remember. Trying to send this to a fresh best of 5. Aquatail coming through. Crunch now coming through against Annihilate, and Elam's going to let it connect. This is going to actually bring in the Clodsire, which we haven't seen that much. But here comes Claude, big boy Claude. And it is running that Stone Edge. And Stone Edge, although resisted, will be enough to knock out the Annihilate at this range. So we see Stone Edge knock it out. Azumarill now comes in. After these bubbles, should probably put it into around Ice Beam range. Going for the Earthquake. Doesn't have that Sludge Bomb. Do we see a catch attempt? No, no catch attempt. Just going to go for the Ice Beam here. I thought maybe it would try to catch on the Drapion there, but no catch attempt. And then actually gets to a Stone Edge here before going down. That's big for Sceptile Ice. Draws a Protect Shield here. Going to come in with his Drapion. Gets denied a Poison Sting, which is a little bit annoying. Because if he didn't get denied, he would have the option to maybe shield and try to go for a CMP. Gets denied again. Gets denied again. So he has one less Shadow Claw on his Feraligatr, which is quite annoying. Did have the opportunity to CMP here. Did have the opportunity to CMP. So I was a little bit surprised he didn't throw his Hydro Cannon there. Would have drawn the last Protect Shield from Elam or forced him to let the Drapion go, so he would still have a Protect Shield to hide behind. And now he's going to fire off the Hydro Cannon here. Elam has to use the final shield to get off this Play Rough. Play Rough coming through. Play Rough is going to put this Feraligatr really low, and it is going to be a simultaneous knockout. And that was really unfortunate. Got denied twice with the Gator. Got denied twice with the Drapion and then once with the Gator. Once again, like, I don't know if it changes the outcome, but it's, like, so tough in the moment, right? Like, I don't know. Because it could have, like, changed his decision-making. So, Sceptile Ice raised it to the judges. And, like, personally, it's, like... to me, it's like a little bit unclear there. In the moment, I was thinking like 2 denials in the end game, like rematch, but watching it again, because if the denial was against the Azu, it would have been different because one extra Shadow Claw against the Azu would have been huge because that Shadow Claw clearly would have knocked out first, and then you have the Hydro Cannon. But because both denials happen against the Drapion, maybe it actually wouldn't have clearly changed the outcome, in which case they decide to let it go. And I guess because this is kind of like a ball don't lie type scenario. It's like because of the no rematch with the Rage Fist in Elam's match, it's almost like you can't give that a rematch either, you know? It's like, and it shouldn't be that way, right? But it's almost like if that other one wasn't a rematch, like that can't be a rematch, you know? So I don't know. It's an unfortunate situation in general. Sometimes people criticize me for not like calling out Niantic more on social media. Niantic, fix your game. I just like being positive mostly in general. So I try to not to be like too critical. I like to appreciate the game and have fun. So, but at the same time, that's really frustrating, especially on the biggest moment, the biggest stage. Ugh, like, dude. Gosh, okay. Anyway, Elam has reset the bracket. Let's go, baby. Elam has reset the bracket. Also, I'm going to bring up a little website called DracoViz. And I will show you guys some things later on. Thanks for your patience. All right, we're back. Fresh best of 5. Annihilate Mirror. Here we go. 0-0. 0-0. We know that Sceptile Ice wins Charge Attack priority in the Annihilate Mirror. This time, Ilam, once again, is going to protect shield. Sceptile is going to play it the same way. Yeah, he's going to play it the same way. He's going to take it. He understands that Ilam might catch this. And once again, yep, Elam's going to play it the same way. Going to catch onto Azumarill. And, ooh, comes in with the Drapion. So, this looks very similar to a previous game where Ilam kind of lures Sceptile Ice into giving him the alignment he wants. But it's like, if Sceptile Ice shields this, is he just going to have... Yeah, he's just going to have so much energy with this Drapion. It's going to be really tough to deal with. So he's going to overfarm a ton here. Could have overfarmed even more, to be honest. So gives Ilam a little bit of a break. In comes Annihilate. Oh, I guess he was expecting something else. So perhaps a little bit of a mistake. Probably should have gone for the crunch. Oh, goes for a catch attempt. Unsuccessful. So maybe a few misplays here from Sceptile Ice. Maybe a few misplays here. But the game's not over. Does he call this? No, doesn't call it. But now in comes Serp. And this is going to be really tough. Charge attack priority does bait the Hydro Cannon, but Frenzy Plant's going to knock out anyway. If you're Ilam, like, you got to respect the Ice Beam there. Drapion has a ton of energy. Is there any way that Drapion could close this out? I don't think so, because I think even if you did somehow knock out Serp here, the Annihilate would just have too much energy and knock you out. So, Sceptile Ice, probably, I mean, he's played so exceptionally well. Probably one of the few games in this video he probably wishes he could have had back there. Maybe a few things he could have done differently in that. I think maybe overfarming a little bit more against the Azumarill and then committing to the crunch against the Annihilate. Probably the two major things there he could have done differently. I'm trying to think why the Aqua Tail. I'm not sure what he was expecting exactly. But a 1-0 lead for Ilam. Seeking his first regional title. I mean, so is Sceptile, but Ilam has been competing much more frequently and has just been such a staple in the top 8 of so many regionals. Here we go. Game number 2. Crunch going to connect. This is kind of the reverse, right? We've seen Sceptile Ice as the Drapion so many times. This time, Ilam the Drapion against Sceptile Ice's Annihilate. We see the Aqua Tail now firing off. Sceptile Ice with a decision to make. He's going to let it go. Going to decide what he wants to come in with here. And it's going to be the Feraligatr. Not an easy farm down. Gets the Knight of Shadow Claw. Not ideal. You see him look at the camera. That's definitely frustrating. I shouldn't laugh, right? I shouldn't laugh. That's really bad. That's really bad. Big overfarm on the Gator. Feraligatr with a ton of energy. Also kind of forcing Ilam to throw on weird timing. And gets a catch. Catches the Play Rough onto Drapion. He just understands that his Feraligatr is so good in this matchup. He's trying to preserve it. I really like this. Fires off the crunch here. I was kind of looking. I thought Ilam might have had an opportunity here to like stop tapping with Azu or maybe do one more bubble and then swap into Sandslash. Instead, he fired off the energy. If he was able to get out with that energy and save it and then go into Slash, I feel like that could have been a potential win con for Ilam in this game. But instead, he threw the energy. I'll just do a quick rewind here to show you what I'm talking about. You see the switch clock is almost up. I feel like Ilam might have had time here, right? If he like stopped tapping momentarily or maybe did one more bubble here, could have potentially saved this while we see Sceptile Ice is still switch locked. And then you start farming down with Sandslash. You take a move. Maybe you get a full farm down. I feel like that could have been a potential win con for Ilam here. But I think he was just, in the moment, kind of scared of getting Poison Sting down. So he just kind of fired off the Ice Beam. So maybe one thing Ilam could have done differently there. But who knows? Maybe he was right. Maybe he would have got Poison Sting down first. And now this Sandslash just has no energy against this Gator. So it's going to be super tough. Down a shield as well. Gator just maxed out on energy, man. Feraligatr, so scary. Does anyone have nightmares about Shadow Feraligatr? Let me know in the comment section. Hydro Cannon knocks out Sand Slash. And going to Shadow Claw down Drapion before it gets to an attack. Going to sweep the entire team. And Sceptile Ice ties it up 1-1. So we essentially have a best of 3 now to decide who is your Toronto Regional Champion. Straight into the next. Quick breaks. No breaks in the action. Drapion firing off the Crunch, baby. One of the most common matchups, not just in the Go Battle League, but in the Championship Series as well. And we're going to see another Crunch fired off here. I think has the Aqua Tail, right? So could fire off Aqua Tail back to back. Oh, but counters the Annihilate with the Jump Bluff. This is looking really solid for Sceptile Ice. Rage Fist coming through. And has not brought the Jump Bluff right in this entire series. There's been 2 games in this. There's been was it 4 in the previous set? So 6 and then 4, so like 10 games, and this is the first time. Well, actually no, I think he brought it once in the original set. So like he probably hasn't brought the Jump Bluff in like 7 games or something like that, and brings it here when it is so good against this line Elam brought. Just what a read, what a prediction from Sceptile Ice in this crucial game. Crunch grabs a Protect Shield, another Crunch coming through. Elam knows he's in a bad spot here. Puts up another Protect Shield. His final Protect Shield. Has the double Aerial Ace, but Sceptile Ice realizing that Poison Sting that he snuck through gives him another Crunch, and he's going to win the Chart Attack priority here. He got the debuffs as well. I forget if it was 1 or 2, but the Crunch is going to put it super low. Aerial Ace is going to knock out, but only 1 fast attack I think should be enough. And Sceptile Ice is actually going to win this game 3 without even revealing the Feraligatr in back. But to be honest, Elam knows it's Feraligatr, right? It's always Feraligatr. But wins that without even showcasing the Feraligatr. And Elam now down 2-1, 1 game away from elimination in these grand finals. And, you know, I studied media and broadcasting in college, and I really love storytelling, and this was a really fitting sort of situation for Elam to be in, because he's been in multiple grand finals, and Elam is one of the most winningest trainers in Play Pokemon Championships history that has yet to win a title. I'm going to show you guys some of his record history here. Look at this recent history, right? 5th place LAIC, 5th place Louisville, 3rd place Baltimore, 4th NAIC, 9th LA, 7th Indianapolis, 7th Charlotte, 7th San Antonio, 2nd in Hartford, 2nd Baltimore. Literally in 2 of his first 4 tournaments, he was the runner-up and has just yet to claim the title. I mean, has just an insane top cut rate, something like 75% top 8 rate, has just been one of the most winningest and successful trainers, and he's definitely gotten some flack from some of his friends who Wadaj, I know, who can be a bit of a character, a bit of a someone who teases his friends, gives them a hard time, has like said he doesn't have the mental, right? He gets to the big moment and lets it get to him. I don't think that's entirely true. I think Elam has been one of the best players for a really long time, and just maybe there's a little bit of luck involved in this game that we play, this crazy game that we call Pokemon Go PvP, and just the cookie hasn't always crumbled in his favor on Championship Sunday in those moments. But we get to this situation where his back's against the wall now. He's been in these grand finals 2 times before. He's down 2-1, and let's see what happens. Taking his time. And here we go. Annihilate versus Annihilate. That was a cute little puppy that we saw when I was hovering over. Going to start off this game catching the first Rage Fist on Azumarill, playing it a little bit differently. Maybe he didn't like how the previous matchups played out. On paper, this doesn't look good for Ilam, right? This doesn't look good. There's a Drapion waiting for the Corsola in back. So on paper, this doesn't look good, but that catch did create a desync in the switch timer. So that could open up some play here for Ilam. He is going to try and fire off this Play Rough and going to actually just fully let this Azumarill go. This is kind of interesting. Lets the Azumarill go. It had a full Play Rough. This time wins the charge attack priority. Could have won it earlier, right? In that earlier series. Might have made a difference. And going to put up a shield. Understands he might need this Annihilate if there's a Drapion. So saves the Annihilate. And Sceptile actually hard pivots into his own. And it's met by Corsola. And this could be big for Ilam. And he's already seen... Feraligatr. So he's kind of hoping like it could be the Drapion in back. He's making a team read. If it is the Drapion, that could be pretty good for Ilam. The Feraligatr is still there, though, so just going to blind Power Gem here. Or maybe he did react to the typing. Power Gem going to do some nice chip damage. Swaps in immediate Rage Fist. He just wants to ramp up the attack, the counter damage right away. Plus the solid chip damage is valuable as well. And I don't know if Drapion can get to a double Aqua Tail here in time. And Ilam, doesn't fall for the catch and has the attack loaded. So theoretically, Sceptile could have thrown the Aqua Tail, but the Aqua Tail might have not been enough from that range. So that would have also allowed Ilam to survive and get off a charge attack. On paper, a really difficult line for Ilam to overcome in what potentially could have been a losing match for him. But he found a way. I think the hard pivot from Sceptile was tough there. But in his defense, it's also tough if he lets his Feraligatr get farmed down and then he's behind energy against Ilam's Annihilate. That also could have been pretty devastating. So it was kind of the worst. It was like, pick your poison, right? It's like, what's the worst of two evils? The lesser of two evils, I should say. And this sets us up for a decisive Game 5. One final game to decide your Toronto regional champion. Ilam has been waiting for this moment for years. Sceptile Ice hasn't competed as much, but I mean, he wants this as much as anybody would in his shoes, right? He's been a really exceptional player in the Go Battle League and some grassroots formats. He's been in the top 8 before. This would be a huge moment for him as well. I know I've been focusing on Ilam a little bit more because I've known him for a long time. Sceptile Ice, an exceptional trainer in his own right. But here we go. Lock in game number 5 for your Toronto regional title, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Drapion into Annihilate, right? The two most comfortable Pokemon for both of these trainers. And it's what it all comes down to in the end. And let's see how this plays out. Crunch coming through, grabs a Protect Shield. Another Crunch coming through. Ilam, double Protect Shield. What's he doing here? Double Protect Shield? And the debuff? And Drapion gets the Aqua Tail off before going down. Ilam doesn't like this at all. And everyone thought this was looking over at this point. He's got a 2 Protect Shield advantage, Sceptile Ice. Jumpluff can absorb this Rage Fist, no problem. Ilam saves a ton of energy. Keep in mind, Elam's only one counter away from double Rage Fist. So at least he has a lot of energy. But like 2 shields advantage, this is really good for Sceptile Ice. However, we see a Nightshade coming through. And Ilam wisely, he's not super threatened by this Jumpluff. So he's building up residual energy here. Another Energy Ball coming through. And Sceptile Ice, worried about getting Astonished down, is going to now swap into the Gator. And going to draw the first Protect Shield with this Nightshade. Now, the switch timer's up. Has the immediate Rage Fist. Does he live one more Shadow Claw? Sceptile Ice is going to gamble. I don't think you live one more Shadow Claw. He lives with 1 HP. He lives with 1 HP. IVs matter. They don't matter until they matter. You're in the grand finals, game 5 of a championship. And now he has drawn both Protect Shields. Sceptile Ice needs to try and find a way out of this. Swaps in the jump bluff. Gets off an Aerial Ace here on charge attack priority. Is this going to be enough chip damage to potentially set something up for Sceptile Ice? We see the full undercharge from Ilam. It's still going to be enough. It's going to be a race here. And Sceptile Ice is going to be 1 off. He's going to be 1 off. But Ilam has the Ice Beam. And Ilam, against all odds, in what looked like an insurmountable situation, finds a win condition and is your Toronto regional champion. One of the most calm demeanor trainers I've ever seen. Says, let's go, expresses some emotion, and finally gets the job done. And man, what a crazy way to win it. What a crazy way to get it done. A little face cam on here. And man, huge congrats to Ilam to finally capture the championship that those of us that know him knew was bound to happen at some point, and he stuck with it. He finally got it done, and there's not many people more deserving. So congrats to Ilam. I've been teammates with him for a long time, and we'll get some of his thoughts here in the post interview with Soph. But first, like, Ilam, I've been teammates with him on Team USA, a format that we do for quite some time, and he's always just been like a super chill guy, no meme intended, and just always super respected his skills. And like, I was so happy when he won, and it's not like him and I are like the closest of friends. I don't want to come off as like, like, oh, it's like someone wins a championship, like, oh, it's my best friend, right? It's not like we talk that often, but I think I just like have a lot of empathy for other top competitors in this game. And I know I feel the pressure sometimes, and the losses get to me, and I feel like we almost have sort of opposite pressures that we were facing as I was kind of thinking about it for this video. Like, for my story, I had a lot of success early. I won a championship in the first season, and since then it was like I had all this early success, and it's like every time that I don't perform, if I go on a bit of a cold spell, it's like, what happened? Reis fell off, right? Wink, wink. And versus for him, he's been so good for so long, even before the championship series, but because he's gotten second, third, fourth, fifth, top 8, who knows how many times, has been more consistent than some of the very best in the world, the Wadages, the Dune Bugs. But because he just hasn't quite gotten that first place, people sometimes leave him out of that conversation of the Wadages and the Dune Bugs, and he finally gets that off his back. And when I saw him win, dude, I just had like these knots in my stomach. I felt like this great sense of relief for him, like this weight off my shoulders, but like for him, for his shoulders, and just like really happy for him. And shout out to Sceptile Ice as well for putting on just a really fun and great performance. So yeah. So shout out to Ilam. Let's skip ahead to his interview with Miss Soph. Let's unmute this.
But without further ado, let's welcome our third place finisher. This is his first.
Oh, I still have it at 1.5.
All the way to the top 3, Dr. Roast Beef.
And after that,
I went a little too far ahead.
for me, as I
Sceptile Ice runner up.
To you.
It's bitter played about as best as I
Talks about bittersweet. I sent Sceptile Ice a message. I can relate to being second place. I've only been second place one time in my career, but definitely bittersweet. It did come down to a game 5. So you're like, I've had people ask me about that before, like one, because like, I'm still on my face. You guys don't want to see my face. Maybe you do. Wink.
I'm mostly satisfied.
Well, you definitely had a great run. I know you talked a little bit before about just what Baltimore's run did for your confidence.
I feel like
Now that you've had, do you have any final?
supporting me, thank you. I think 2 specific people I want to shout out are Derp Dude and Mercury. They're amazing friends. They support me. They've been blowing up my phone the entire day, and it's just, they're amazing.
That's great to hear. I hope you get to celebrate them. Congratulations once again, and thank you so much. All right, and finally, our Toronto Regional Champion.
This is really cute if you know a background because
This is his
Soph and Ilam are a couple of really good friends.
11th top cut, his 3rd grand finals, and his 1st regional championship.
They play on the
Please give it
same
up for
team
Ilam.
together.
Ilam, for a long time, you've been known as the best player out there without a regional title. Tell us what it means to finally have that title.
It means the world for me. As I was selling butters earlier, all I needed was this win, and now I feel like so much happier in terms of play Pokemon, of course. But yeah.
Well, you've been very successful pretty much since the start of the scene. I think you're probably leading North America in the leaderboards now, so certainly a lot of success for you. In terms of where we can see you next, I know this is something that you've wanted for a long time. Do you think you're going to take a break, or is there something you think you're going to compete at soon?
I think I'm going to be taking a break for a while. My next semester is probably going to be pretty tough for school, so I'm just going to be taking a break, and maybe an IC, maybe Worlds, maybe that's when you'll see me next.
All right, sounds good. I also feel like you had a pretty tough matchup against Septile
He's
Ice
taking
in
a
those
break,
winners
so
finals.
you guys
It
watching
looked
have a
pretty
chance.
one-sided, but you came back
Come
really
out and
strong
compete.
in the grand finals. What were you thinking about kind of in between those matches? I know you were pretty busy with another match and an interview.
Well, I don't know. I don't even know what was going through my head, if I'm honest. After I lost the winners finals, I just tried to think a little bit about it. I knew the matchup was tough, but, well, first I had to get through Dr. Rose Beef, and then after the interview, I just, like, took some small break and just took a big deep breath, and after that, like, I just let everything flow. And if I'm completely honest with you, I don't remember most of the games. So yeah.
I think a lot of people look up to your competitive mindset and your consistency, and that really showed there. And before we let you go, do you have any final shout outs, thank yous that you want to give?
There's like several. I mentioned some before, but I'm gonna mention them again. Iquarican, he's my local who gave me the Corsola. I'm like, thank you, because that Corsola is really good and it kinda carried me this regional. And well, my friends, Signal, SJ, Mango, Brandon, Pranab, Monahan, Ed, so I have a lot of friends. I've received a lot of messages, a lot of help from them, and like I really want to give them a thank you. And yeah, well, my parents as well. I know they'll be happy as soon as I tell them.
I'm sure everyone that you listed there and many, many more people are going to be really happy for you. Congratulations once again, Ilam, and I think we're going to kick it back to the casters to be able to close out the show.
A fairy tale storybook ending. Ilam does what everyone knew would happen eventually, and I actually tweeted this after Louisville. I edited my tweet a little bit. I said, like, I just said, hey, congrats on top 8. What actually happened was he like couldn't find the guy to get his rewards for top 8. He's like, hey, Reis, have you like seen the guy to get the top 8 rewards? I'm like, no. And he's like, oh, that's weird. Like, he's not over there. I'm like, oh, you'll get another top 8. And he goes, I don't want top 8, bro. I want top 1. And when he said that, I was like, that's kind of badass. And like, I knew he was going to be like, he was locked in. He was like due for one soon. So claps for Ilam, man. Like I said, storybook ending, got it done in like the most dramatic, epic fashion to finally like been so close a few times and to like back against the wall, come back and then get interviewed by your best friend in the ceremony. I'm sure that made it extra special. So shout out to you, bro, if you're watching, and I hope everyone else watching enjoyed this recap. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, comment down below. All comments are appreciated. And all that said, thanks so much. I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.